Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Kat.
We are back again. We're here sitting at Wandering Nick's, which is a metaphysical supplies and services store in Western New York.
On this gloomy, oomy Wednesday.
Yeah. And I'm Amy.
You said that.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm Kat.
Kat. And guess what? We have a microphone.
Can you hear us better?
Maybe you'll be able to hear us better. Or maybe we're like not close enough to it, but whatever. We were going to continue talking. We had started this thing called Reluctant Wicca. It just like a little series to talk about because Kat is an elder priestess in Wicca, and she's teaching a course. It's called Wicca 101, and it's meant to go through the basics of Wicca. I feel like I'm looking at myself instead of, I don't know where to look. Anyway.
Yeah, we went through this last time.
I
We
know,
don't
but
know
it's
where to
still
look. Should we
weird.
be looking at each other? Should we
I
be
don't know.
looking there?
But anyway, I'm taking the class, and I am a person who has just been like a solitary whatever, and now I am gaining this sort of formal instruction in Wicca. And did you want to say what you brought up and wanted to ask?
Well, yeah. My question to you was, why did you call it the Reluctant Wiccan last time? Because to me that denotes somebody who doesn't want to do it and is kind of pulled screaming and kicking. And everyone has come to the class of their own free will.
Yes.
So I was just curious
Yes.
why you called this the
Right.
Reluctant Wiccan. Reluctant Wiccan.
Okay. First of all, purely because I thought it sounded cool is one reason.
Okay.
The Reluctant Wicca. But also because, like I had said, I have been doing stuff by myself, kind of like, my own path, or however you think of that. And I don't know a lot of things. And I wasn't sure if going into this and gaining the more formal instruction would make me turn south from it. Like, okay, is this really what I want to do? Will I find out that this is not what I want to do once I get introduced to it?
Okay.
And also, that doesn't mean I don't want to take the class.
Oh, no, I know.
And I understand, too, you have to understand something fully before committing to it.
Right.
So if you want to formally be in the thing, you have to have the knowledge.
True. But you can be a solitary Wiccan and have never taken a Wicca 101 class.
Right.
And still be considered a Wiccan. And follow the rituals and the Wheel of the Year and all of the things that go along with it. And hi.
We have a customer. So
Oops, sorry.
yeah. That's part of the problem of recording at the store. We never know when someone will walk in.
Okay, so what was I talking about? Solitaries versus, organized religion, solitaries, organized Wicca. Okay, so a lot of people, when they think of organized religion, they think of things like Catholicism, your Christian denominations, Judaism, things that have an actual dogma, or rules that are taught, not necessarily explained, but taught. You have to know this, X, Y, Z.
Right.
This is what we do. We go to church. We do these motions, these prayers, these things. It's very dogmatic. It's very structured and very unchanging.
Right.
Wicca, even if, sorry, I had to run outside, so I'm out of breath. So Wicca, even if you're in a group, or a coven or a tradition, you may be in find one that is more eclectic. For instance, the tradition my husband and I founded, we founded a tradition for solitaries by solitaries. He was a solitary when he started. I was a solitary when I started. So the way we do things is very much geared toward solitary practitioners who want to be able to come together and get a little bit more formal training, get an idea of what things are, those bits and pieces that you would get in a much more formal setting. For instance, Gardinian or Dynamic or these other very traditional sects.
See, that was,
Wicca.
yeah, I wanted to ask about that as well. You mentioned the Gardinian, is that right? Gardinian?
Gardinian.
And I know there are other ones. Are those more what we might think of like as a regimented type thing? Like where if you joined that group and you did something that was different, would they be like, oh, or...
Well, I've never been a member of any of those very traditional sects because that never called to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'd be like, oh, you're in trouble. But I do know every group differs, but within those sects, they are very much more regimented. Okay, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to do it always this way. You're going to always practice with us. You're going to, X, Y, and Z. Versus the solitary who can basically take bits and pieces of what they want, or to find an eclectic clan like ours, the Grey Wolf clan, is very eclectic because what we do is we have a patron god and goddess, and we have a general framework that we teach, as you know, because you're taking the class right now. But we encourage people to find their own god and goddess to work with, their own pantheons, their own mythologies, their own ways that they're looking at it. And then what we will do is we'll come together as a clan and, it might be, okay, it's Amy's turn to teach us this month. And we get to learn about whatever it is you're studying, and it goes around like that for the year. Okay,
because I was talking with a friend, and he was saying, I'm not sure about this because I am very anti-organized religion, and I thought to myself, okay, so for what I know so far, Wicca does not seem like an organized religion. It seems more like there's a framework, there's a set of accepted beliefs, but you can work within that. It's not like you're going to church every Sunday and you have to put this much money in the basket, etc.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you have to say this prayer and
exactly.
No. Okay. Wicca is very much a personal journey and a personal relationship with the god and the goddess.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me than but you got to understand too, there's people out there, of course. I'm not coming in totally blind, but people who don't know like anything about it, you know. Ooh.
There's a lot of misconceptions.
Exactly.
There's a lot of misconceptions about Wicca itself.
Yep.
And then there's the misconceptions of the newly interested in Wicca. Just like you said, your friend was worried it was going to be more dogmatic than what it actually is. But it's definitely much different than organized religion.
Okay. But that gives you a response to why reluctant. And, it had to do with all of that, sort of like not... And, you talked, I think, the last time about the idea of trauma. and
Yes,
religious trauma.
religious trauma.
And once you have come out of something that is highly structured, there is that sort of like, holy crap, do I want to
Exactly.
get back into
Exactly.
something that's going to kind of,
And
put
I
me in
think-
chains again?
I think that, and this can be a topic for a whole nother day, because I could talk on it for quite a while. That's where responsibility comes to those of us who teach. We need to be aware of those religious traumas and be able to see them and pick up on them. And, you might have to explain something a little bit differently than you normally would so that you don't trigger somebody. And
Right.
Knowing the friend that you're talking about, I can see where instinctively I've
Yeah.
changed how I explained a few things.
Right.
And going forward too, it's always good to know. So yeah.
Okay. What we are currently learning about in the class and
They're
studying
halfway through.
is we've been talking about sort of altar setup and sacred space. And okay, here's the thing. I understand we learned about how to set up an altar, which is very different. There's a fly.
That fly. It's been in here all day, guys.
But it's different from how I did things as solitary practitioner doing stuff on my own. Like I had my little setup, and I just sort of instinctively was doing like a north, south, east, west thing. I was incorporating the 4 elements. And that kind of thing. There were elements from what I considered my altar that are not in how you explained it. But we are also talking in class about sacred space. These are 2 different things?
Yes.
Okay. What's the difference?
An altar is a place, you could go with the pat definition. An altar is a flat surface which one uses during ritual and or magical workings for religious devotions, etc. It's basically your table. If you're talking about a working altar, it's the table that's going to be in the center of the space that you're working, where you're going to have your tools, you're going to have your candles, your incense, all of the tools that you need to do what you need to do.
Okay.
And that's going to be in the center of your space, and you are going to physically need to be able to walk around it in a circle.
Okay, so the altar is in the middle of the sacred space. Is that what you're saying?
The altar is in the middle of your working space. Let me finish. Your personal altar, which can be temporary or permanent, is a spot. It can be a shelf. It can be the top of your dresser. It can be your dining room table, your coffee table. It can be wherever you have in your house where you can put things that represent to you the god and the goddess that you follow. It might have things that remind you of the different elements. It might have a pretty stone you found. It might have a feather. The things that you collect and that you set aside as having high meaning. Just a minute. I'm probably going to answer your question, so just give me a second, Miss Teacher. The sacred space that you create around that altar is something that is always there. That is something that you can give it energy. You can say your devotions at it. You could even say a small ritual at it. It's not something that's going to really move around. And that's going to have your sacred space. Now, when you're talking about the working altar, where you're going to have to walk around it, you are going to actually cut out a piece of reality. You're going to make the inside of that circle is going to be the space between the space, the world between the worlds. That sacred space is where you're going to do your quarter calls. You're going to call in the god, the goddess. Mm-hmm. You're going to call in guardians. You're going to call in the more formal things that we're learning about. And for that time while you're working, that is your sacred space.
Okay. No. Okay, we got sacred space, which can be around the working altar.
Yes.
Especially when one is working.
Yes.
Then we also have personal altar, which is also in a sacred space?
Yes.
Or is that the same?
No.
Is the personal altar the sacred space?
The personal altar is in the sacred space.
I need 2 sacred spaces.
Not at all times. You need one sacred space where your personal altar is, and that should be something that you work on all the time.
Okay.
That should be a daily thing that you're feeding some energy to.
Okay.
Okay. And then say it's a Sabbath, mm-hmm. and you're doing your Sabbath ritual. You're going to create sacred space to do that ritual in. And then when you're done, you're going to pick that sacred space back up.
That's where the working altar is.
Yes.
Good Lord. Okay. Okay.
See, this is why I think we should wait to ask some of these questions until you're done with the class, because there's parts that we haven't covered yet.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you know, do you want to?
Yeah, I do.
Rolo?
Thanks. Rolo. So, Rolo me.
Holy moly! Yeah, so you can see where I find myself getting a bit befuddled with some things. The other question.
It's tradition.
Not for any particular reason. Am I asking this? I mean, there's no reason I'm asking this. In the pagan community, do you feel like
we're jumping from that to that already? Okay, wow.
Do you feel like there's a lot of drama?
Gee, I have no idea why she's asking this question at all. Yes, at times there can be.
Here's my theory. Is it because there are so many highly charged people who are in this community, like people who are just on fire for many various reasons?
Well,
and
part of being in the community and part of being in this religion is we're trying to raise our vibrations.
Right.
So in a way, yeah, we are vibrating at a faster frequency. I also think, how can I put this? I also think that there can be, in certain circumstances, situations where there are ego, and there is ego, and anytime one has to be in a position to deal with that, there can be drama. Although I will say that 99.9% of the people that I have met in this community are wonderful and do not have trouble with their egos.
That many? Really? Excuse me. I don't know. I mean, I wonder if there is like a higher percentage of ego-y people or not. I mean, one thing.
There's going to be people with ego
anywhere. I know.
Every religion. And I will tell you, if I were to go to the local, I'm not going to call out one religion, but if I was going to go to that church up there on the
Yeah.
hill, there would be a heck of a lot more ego up there than in.
But the ego in like a Christian church, and I'm not saying, okay, maybe other types of churches as well. There's a really established hierarchy
Yes.
in those places, so that
Mhm.
there's less chance for stuff to sort of fester and bubble up because everybody's kind of knows their place.
Well, that's when you're working with a coven. There's
Same thing.
hierarchy within a coven.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
you have your priests and priestesses, and then you have your high priests and high priestesses, and then your elders.
Okay, but
And it's kind of on the elders and the high priests and priestesses to keep
To
the
quash stuff.
bubbles,
yeah,
the bubbles simmering.
but not even just ego, other types of drama that might play
Mhm.
out. But I guess that's everywhere, and it's human nature.
Yes.
So, okay. All right.
I would chalk it up to human nature.
Pagan nature.
There you go.
All right. Is that enough?
I think that's enough.
Okay, I will have more questions.
You guys put your questions down there.
Yeah, if you have questions.
Down there.
We'll do
Hit
what we
like and subscribe.
Please
and
do.
Check us out at WanderingNix.com, Wandering Nix on Facebook, TikTok. Please
chats.
also Morgwin's Cloak on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And I will be starting my own channel here soon.
Yeah, we're like all over the place on the socials.
trying.
We're trying, but as you can see, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just sort of,
So tell us what we're doing right and doing wrong.
you can tell us we suck. We know we do.
Bye.
Bye.